Hello and welcome. On today's episode we are going to take a closer look at this Empire Brass Echo Cornet. Now as you can see, it's got this big bulbous attachment on the side of it, and that is the echo mechanism. The rest of it is just a fairly normal, badly made cornet. So we're going to ignore all of the normal cornety bits and focus instead on the echo section. And so to help us see the valve mechanism, let's take the echo bell off, which was removable fortunately. And put that to side for the moment. So the way that this works compared to a normal cornet is that on a normal cornet, the airflow, when it leaves the first valve to go to the bell section, we've got this fourth valve in its place. Now this is a very small valve, as you can see, and what this bell does is it deflects the airflow. So if the valve is up in its normal position, the airflow goes out through the crook of the bell and out the main bell. If you press the valve, however, the airflow is deflected through this tubing, which is of course connected to the echo attachment. Normal valves, you undo the valve cap here and you take the valve out this way. Unfortunately, because of the main bell here, there's no room for you to do that. So this valve actually gets removed from the bottom. But of course you need to take the finger button off for it to actually pull out. So we'll take that off. We will undo this. Remove the spring and then the valve pops out. An interesting thing about this valve is not only how small it is and how rubbishly made it is, but the fact that the valve guide, this little knob of extra brass here that keeps the valve in its place and prevents it from rotating freely, is at the bottom. And of course that's necessary because the valve doesn't come out the top. You'll also see how well aligned the valve stem is compared to the rest of the valve. This valve stem normally on instruments is removable. You'd screw this out, but because this is just a cheap instrument, it is soldered in place. If we take a close-up look at the valve, you will see some of its imperfections. Namely, the most egregious is the fact that the valve casing, or the valve itself, and the ports through the valve, there is a gap. This is by no means the worst valve that I've ever seen, but it's still a pretty awful valve. As we put the valve inside, you will see the little socket for the valve guide that helps keep the valve aligned and prevents it from rotating in place. So we'll put that there. We'll find the spring, which is rolled away over here, put this in, and then put the valve cap on. This is the echo attachment. This part is removable for whatever reason. Presumably you could have it at different angles if you so desired. And it would have been nice if the makers of this instrument had different ones of these. So you could have a normal bell that you could put your own mute in the end, or you could have different flavors of these. So you could get a slightly different timbre out of it, but that is just not the case. This is your echo attachment, and the sound that it makes is the sound that you're going to get. Make sure you're grateful. This is, beautifully made, as you can tell, with this pinky hook just slapped on the top there with a bit of soft solder. It's all nickel plated as opposed to anything more exotic, so it's quite hard to polish. Yeah, and this is what you get. It is of course a lot heavier than normal, partly because the instrument is badly made out of inferior materials, but also because of this extra attachment at the bottom. One of the nice inclusions on this though is the fact that you can tune this secondary bell compared to the first valve, the first bell. This part of the tubing is removable, albeit with a couple of metric tons worth of pressure and force required. And it is potentially reinsertable again, but we'll just leave that for later, I think. So this is the Empire Brass Indian-made Echo Cornet. Don't buy one unless you want it just as a wall ornament. Now I've done a more thorough video on the Echo Cornet, so if you're interested in getting some more details and finding out what this sounds like, then please make sure you check that out. Thanks very much for watching.